December 18, 1773. An upper-class colonial family wakes up and the family begins to get ready for their day. The husband, father of 3, John, wakes up and prepares for his day as a doctor. The wife and mother of 3, Mary, awakes, gets dressed in her finest velvets, and prepares for her day. Her first task of the day is to make sure that their indentured servant George has got breakfast started and that the house is in order for her husband and children. George is serving the family for a total of 7 years and has completed 3 of his years. The first of the children to wake up is Sarah, the couple's 3-year-old daughter, who is eager to get her day started. Then, all at once, the 2 twin 5-year-old boys awake, and now the house is ready to go. Breakfast is served and ate while George goes and cleans up after breakfast. John and Mary talk about the things that they have going on. John has to meet with some patients in the afternoon, and Mary is meeting with a few of the other wives in the neighborhood later to have tea and catch up. George brings them the newspaper for the day, and on the front page it says that 90,000 pounds of tea have been dumped into the Boston harbor, and that occurred the previous day, December 17, 1773. John reads the article to his wife, and they are both shocked about what has gone on. John says that this is what England had coming for them for raising the tax on tea, among other things, in order to help the companies that were struggling in Britain. Mary wonders how this is going to affect the relationship between the colonists and England. She is worried that they may retaliate, and this may not be the end of it. Of course, Mary is not allowed to do anything about it. She cannot help in any way because she is a woman, and that would be inappropriate. Her duties are limited to the house and her family. John does not think that anything will come about of the tea being dumped into the harbor. He thinks that England will lower the tax and that it will keep England from raising taxes on the colonists without proper representation. John and Mary finish their conversation and they both get their days started.
This is Mary Smith. Mary works in the home and takes care of her children. Her daily tasks consist of raising the children, cooking meals, sewing clothes, weaving cloth, and keeping the house in order. She's also in charge of managing the indentured servant. Now when it comes to Mary's clothing, Mary wears bonnets of satin and linen when full dress is not required. Her casual attire is known as bedgowns. She wears them daily because they are made of loose fabrics. These gowns were comfortable and easy to move around in while performing her numerous household chores. Now, when Mary has formal events, such as balls, she has typical gowns that are made of silk, ruffles, and frills along the bottom of the gown. Now, Mary's husband, John, has the role of taking care of the family by supporting them and being the head of the household. His attire consists of breeches, a shirt, a waistcoat, and a coat, followed by a bow tie around the neck. This is the same attire he wears whether it's a casual or formal event. Now, their daughter Sarah has chores around the house to help her mom. These chores are selling corn, carding cotton and wool, and cutting sugar. Sarah's clothing is a stay, an apron, and a petticoat. She has 2 brothers who are twins, Timothy and Thomas. They have the same chores around the house to help their mom. but their clothing is a bit different from their sister Sarah. They wear doublets, which are fitted long-sleeve jackets, and petticoats. The Smith family has an indentured servant named George. George works on the field and performs household tasks. His clothing is made from inexpensive fabric. He wears a linen shirt paired with woolen hose and a knitted cap. The Smith family is an upper-class family, so they are expected to be very structured.
The family unit as a whole was more responsible for the daily operation of the family's household and business than in wealthier households, where the business of the family was entrusted to the father and daily household chores were relegated to servants. Because this family was mainly Caucasian, they enjoyed a lot more privileges rather than other families. For instance, they got the opportunity to go to school, have education, and take up the family estate. Fathers in all colonial families, the father served as head of the family. He held the title of wage earner and disciplinarian. In most families, fathers played the role of the religious head of the household, setting a standard by leading the family in daily prayer and guiding them in proper religious and social behaviors. Father's role as provider also extended to his hobbies. Men of all social classes engaged in hunting and fishing, providing food for their families. When it comes to the basics of parenting, fathers had very little responsibility aside from discipline, that is, until the children were older. They were also responsible for the training of their male children to take on the family business or trade, and daughters could rely on their fathers to play a role in finding appropriate suitors to court and eventually providing consent to marry. The role of mothers in colonial families varied based on the level of wealth. Mothers living in city areas and with wealthier incomes often spent less time with their children and relied on wet nurses and nannies to take care of the basic care of the children. Instead, these mothers spent time tending to their husbands, arranging social arrangements, reading, and overseeing the general activity in the household. All mothers engaged in activities such as knitting and sewing. The role was also to be supportive of their husband and expected to follow the guidance and rules of their husbands, and were often defined by their husband's successes and failures. Single mothers were not common during colonial life. Widow women were often expected to remarry and remarry very fast. In elite families, sons were often focused on education. Many sons in elite families were sent to boarding schools in England for the majority of their schooling, only returned to take on a role within the family business. The son was expected to help out on the farm or take on roles within the family business, and in the event something happened to the father, the son was often the person responsible for providing for the family. In what little free time they had, boys of all income levels enjoyed recreational activities, such as an early form of bowling, called ninepins, or shooting marbles. Many boys would also accompany their fathers on hunting or fishing trips. Daughters of wealthy families often spent their free time in school or being tutored. They enjoy social engagements and groomed to become a woman of high society and find an acceptable husband. For recreation, all girls enjoyed playing with dolls. Wealthier girls often had more intricate porcelain and manufactured dolls. Girls enjoyed playing games such as hoops and singing games, and would also spend their free time practicing their sewing skills. Despite their differences between the classes, the foundation of the modern American family was born out of these family structures. While daily routines have changed a lot, several American family values, such as teaching discipline at home and religious family values, have remained constant.